Atheist Nomads, episode 191.
The podcast you're about to listen to includes cursing and talking about hoo-haws. Please be advised.
Welcome to another episode of Atheist Nomads. I am Dustin. Joining me as always is Wesley.
Hello, everybody. I'm a year older.
Yay!
And deeper in debt?
Thankfully not. Just moderately in debt.
Lauren is actually well enough today to join us.
Hooray.
Barely. Yeah.
Barely. I mean, I am alive and awake at this point. But I think I've probably slept 16 to 18 hours a day for the past couple days.
Wow.
Like,
Damn.
when Dustin's home is the only time I even bother trying to be awake.
That sounds like my deep depression days.
And,
this is...
and even then, she only makes it till about 8.
Yeah, 8 o'clock and I'm done. This is a struggle. I'm thinking it's mono-related.
Because it's 8 o'clock. And yeah.
Anyway, how was your birthday?
Right, we are recording on Wednesday because yesterday, our normal recording day, was Wesley's birthday.
Yeah,
Happy
March
birthday,
21st.
Wesley.
Thank you. 3/21. Yeah, that's my birthday.
Best day.
Yeah, well, the evening was wonderful. MJ took me out to dinner, and it was magnificent as always.
Aw.
But during the day, yeah. So a friend of mine decided to take me out to lunch and, treat me for a birthday. It was going to be cool. We're going to have some teriyaki at a shitty little place, and it was going to be good. So get there, order food. It comes out to the table. And then what does he start talking about? But fucking end of times. Trump is good. Putin is going to destroy the world. So he's good because he's going to bring about the apocalypse.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
And what church do you fellowship at? I'm like, actually, I'm an atheist. And
Womp womp.
he goes on to say, one of my favorite Bible verses is, it's better to be hot or cold than it is to be lukewarm. And it's better, it's better that you're an atheist and you're open to God and not be some lukewarm believer. And
so like that whole so basically the kind of mindset that like Catholic hospitals have, that you're either religious or you have
or waiting to
no
be
religion, which means you're fair game.
That's
evil.
evil.
Yeah, he fucking food ambushed me. And I was so fucking pissed. We were work friends. We, talked about, weather and food because, we have a little bit of Polish kind of tied in with his Slovenian or some sort of thing. And, it was good. But then he just like went full gospel on me. And I was like, where the fuck did this come from?
Did he pay for the food?
Yeah, he paid for the food. And when it came out, once the food came, he was just like on me. So,
hey, at least he waited for the food to come. Or wait, no, maybe that's even worse. Yeah,
because then you're obligated to eat it. You can't just get up and leave.
I didn't eat much. Holy shit!
Oh wow!
And then to make matters worse, when we come back to the base, because federal government, we have little badges to get in or a PIN number to use, which I never use. So I fucking botched it. So I had to have a guard let me in, and then that, of course, locked me out of my account, so I couldn't log onto my computer and do my work.
Oh, shoot, dude.
Oh.
And then there was a nationwide outage in the security building, so I couldn't get my badge reset so that I could go back to work. So I filed for like 10 minutes and said, boss, I don't have any other work. So I ended up being forced to take 4 hours of leave and just go home and be pissed at fucking my now ex-friend.
Oh,
damn.
This has happened to so many people, but it hurts so bad every time I hear about it.
I was raging so bad inside. I was shaking. I tried to be the nice, cool, calm, and collected and not fucking deck the dude like I wanted to.
Well, good for you. Take Take the higher ground, as they say.
Yeah, but then that made me come off as like I'm just waiting for God to show himself. But, I was like, I'm kind of like a Dawkins atheist where, I'm not going to believe anything unless there's, like solid, testable, repeatable evidence. And, then like, doesn't really matter what it is, like wooey crystals and chiropractic or whatever anti-vax bullshit. Sure, I'll believe it if there's like, solid, credible, repeatable evidence. He was like, so that means there's a chance. All right, good.
See, I'm even worse than that. I'm just like a flat out, no, God could be standing right in front of me and I would still believe it was a hallucination and just be like, fuck you.
Well, I mean, I came out, after he did that, good thing. And I was like, well, I believe it was Isaac Asimov saying that, if a significantly advanced alien race came down here, we basically wouldn't be able to tell their technology from them being gods anyways. So, I mean, like, honestly, how could you ever fucking test for that? And even if they were a fucking god, how do you know it's a fucking Christian god?
Right.
Like,
it would need to be incredibly specific, like what we talked about a couple weeks ago. If Jesus appeared on the Mount of Olives and all of the Jews converted, that would be evidence. That wouldn't be very clear evidence. I would probably
be evidence of something.
I would assume it was fake news. But that would at least be evidence.
If they all became Jews for Jesus, then...
You know what?
Overnight.
I would still go to the ground, like, flipping everybody off. Like, nope. Not convinced.
Seriously, yeah. I'm right there with you. I call myself a 99.9%er. That's some stupid shit that you're going to have to fucking prove it to me.
Big time. And for somebody to prey on you from, like, work for that kind of shit, that's inappropriate.
From a fucking federal government job. Ooh.
Like, you could complain to his supervisor for that kind of shit.
I mentioned some of the ties that Putin had to Trump's election campaign. He was like, oh, well, Putin, he's going to bring about the end of the world probably by nuclear war. And that's good because, that'll hasten the Lord coming to the earth, because I feel that Jesus is going to come here in my lifetime, and I'm 61 years old, so it's going to be pretty soon.
They've always felt that.
I came home and rode my motorcycle angrily home, and but safely.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
and
the maternal instinct in me was about to give you a lecture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do need to correct something I said with the having none as the only option that's not a religion. Yes, Catholic hospitals, at least ours here locally, is that way on admission, and they make sure that you answer. And when you say atheist, they say, "Oh, okay, so none." It's the military specifically is where none is the option that opens you up for, flags you as being fair game for chaplains to proselytize to.
Which I believe there is an atheist choice now, I think.
Humanist, I believe, is now an official option. Atheist, you can get atheist in, but they make it really, really hard in the recruiting process to
I would
actually
totally
be able
just
to get it.
like stare the guy down. I'm like, atheist. No. Atheist. Here, let me spell it out for you. The I goes after the E.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck it. Just, go to the pet store and you can get dog tags made for $2.95. Print whatever you want on there.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
Yeah, so that was my Tuesday.
So I kind of suspect you're not in the military, sir. Oh, what do you say that? Like, your dog tag is shaped like a bone. Oh.
Let's go ahead and take another break, and then we'll be back with news, and we have a lot.
Oh, boy.
Atheist Nomads is proudly brought to you by Archway Hosting. Check out their low-price, full-featured hosting solutions at archwayhosting.com. That's ARCHWAY hosting.com.
Hey, we're also brought to you by listeners just like you. Find out how you can become a patron at patreon.com/atheist nomads. That's patreon.com/atheist nomads.
All right. So first off, we've got a terror attack in London.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, March 22. So the day we're recording.
Today.
A person whose identity and motives are unknown as of the time of recording drove a vehicle into a crowd of people on the Westminster Bridge in London and fatally stabbed a police officer at the gate to enter the Palace of Westminster, home of UK's Parliament, before he was shot and killed by plainclothes police officers. In all, 5 were killed, including the assailant, and 20 wounded. Although by the sound of the report, some of the wounded will probably not make it.
Oh my gosh.
Shit. God damn.
Yeah.
I've barely heard about this today, so this is still kind of news to me.
First off, he did not have a gun, so Britain's gun control worked. Yes, you can do a lot of damage with vehicles, but he stabbed a police officer to death. He was killed by the cops. He was only able to kill 3 people with the vehicle.
Well,
If that had been in the U.S. with an assault rifle, it would have been dozens dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, you add a car or some sort of fucking big rig truck plus some guns, people are getting mowed down a lot of different ways. Holy shit. That'd be bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow. 240, how's it going?
And this was a
shit.
direct attack on Parliament.
Yeah, sounds like he was going straight for the session.
It sounds kind of like he might have been aiming for the gate with the vehicle, but maybe decided he was going to go ahead and just take out some tourists on the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then tried to kill the officer, or at least incapacitate the officer so he could get in through the gate. And then he started running when he was killed.
Well, he fucking missed, I'll tell you what. I mean, it looks like he was trying to crash through the fence, but hit one of the large stone pylons.
Mm-hmm.
So his aim sucked, or maybe when he jumped the curb, it kind of bounced and set his angle off a bit. But yeah, he wasn't going to make it through that.
Yeah.
I am surprised he got as far as he did.
I've been there. I've been in Westminster Palace, and
La-di-da. Oh, sorry, not the inappropriate.
I entered through that gate, and it's just a gate. I'm not surprised he got that far. Security around places like that in Britain are actually it's relatively on par with Washington D.C. And heck, in the last couple years, we've had 4 or 5 people get across the White House fence.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was one just a couple of days ago. He was in there for like 6 or 10 minutes. It was a fairly long time.
So yeah,
before
stuff like this
noticed.
It's pretty easy to happen. Okay, let me phrase that. People trying to get in, pretty easy. The fact that he got that far, pretty easy. What he did is absolutely insane and horrible and terrible.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen valid
race,
reports
religion, or creed yet
about that. There was a picture that somebody snapped that is thought to be the attacker. His skin was a rather darkish shade of brown.
If that was the attacker.
Well, even if it was, that doesn't suggest a motive, though.
In Britain, that suggests Muslim. And when you think about terrorism in Britain, there's Islamic terrorism, you're Irish.
There's still like a fair number, quite a few black French people, but still a fair amount of like black people in in England too.
The skin
especially
tone,
the cities.
Okay, it was a shitty picture for one, and also cloudy day, but realistically in Britain with terrorism, if it's white, it's Irish. If it's not white, it's Muslim.
All right.
That's
I still think. We'll get the details here soon.
We will totally find out everything about this guy, including what he had for breakfast, pretty soon.
Yeah. Now, moving along. Earlier today.
Oh no.
The Turkish government and a handful of European countries have been seeing very increasing levels of, let's just say, disagreement lately. So far, Germany and the Netherlands have not allowed Turkish government officials to hold rallies in their countries for Turkish citizens who are eligible to vote in Turkey's upcoming referendum that will further increase Erdogan's power. Dutch and German officials have not allowed the rallies, citing safety concerns, and Turkey has responded by calling them Nazis. And now the Turkish president has said, and this was earlier today, his timing could not have been worse. Turkey is not a country you can pull and push around, not a country whose citizens you can drag on the ground. If Europe continues this way, no European in any part of the world can walk safely in the streets. Europe will be damaged by this. We as Turkey call on Europe to respect human rights and decency.
Holy shit.
Okay, but
I am going with...
If you want to keep a position of power, then you don't threaten violence like that.
No. And I'm guessing this is a either unfortunate coincidence or somebody listened to his words and decided to act. Someone in the wrong country. Because Britain hasn't been doing anything anti-Turkish government.
Probably unrelated.
Most likely unrelated. Yeah.
Again, we're jumping to conclusions here. But it's most likely unrelated, but you don't threaten innocent civilians of an entire continent just because you're not getting your way.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially since...
And this is a referendum to get more power?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh. God.
It's referendum to convert them from a parliamentary system to a presidential, a more proper, or more American-style presidential republic.
Don't do it, guys.
And
seriously,
considering how much he has already transferred power from the prime minister to the president, and how much power he has gained in recent years, he is... now trying to just further that. Yeah.
It's kind of weird that somebody would go out of their way to try and get people outside of the country to vote for them. Like, that has to be a lot of people who are...
Yeah, like over 1.5 million in Germany.
And what on earth are they doing in Germany? Work?
Refugees, migrants, they want freedom.
So if they're escaping from Turkey, you're not going to ask them to come and vote, give you more power, because they're escaping you.
Right. Yeah.
So even if he were to
Turkey's
have quote-unquote rallies, they wouldn't be very successful. Right?
Maybe.
So what is Germany and the Dutch even worried about?
Violence.
Well,
they're worried.
Turkey's a Muslim majority country, but it's also I forget what flavor their majority, but it could be that a lot of is it the Sufis are the minority usually?
No.
Sufis are usually a very small minority.
It
don't
could be
think
that
they're a majority in Turkey, though.
I don't think so either. If anybody, it could be like, Turkish Christians or Turkish Sufi Muslims that are in
Sunni?
Germany and yes,
it'd be I believe it's Sunni majority. We could just Google it, but I'd have to reach a few inches to the keyboard.
Oh no!
Yeah, well, I'm not willing to do it. So,
but the people that are there, people move to other countries, especially richer countries, often to try to get a better life. Turkey has been moving from a secular democracy to Islamic Republic over the last few years. And that is sad.
Sad, man. It's not good. It's sad.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. And sticking on a theme here of Muslims and or terrorism in Europe. And yes, I know I wasn't jumping to conclusions. I was jumping to conclusions.
You jumped to conclusions, Matt.
Great movie.
The mayor of Brussels, Ivan Mayor, told a local newspaper that Brussels is not the capital of jihadism, but then he also said, everyone knows that all mosques in Brussels are in the hands of Salafists. We need to change this. We need new mosques that follow our democratic rules and that are being controlled by the government.
That's scary.
Right.
Yeah, and
so are all the other churches being controlled by the government?
Salafist is like the Islamic State's extremist form of
so
Islam.
we don't have jihadists, but we really need to do something about these jihadists.
Yeah. Not the capital, because jihadism in Belgium started in Antwerp and has been moving its way up. So they're not the capital of it, but yeah, all of their mosques are jihadist mosques.
Wow.
Yeah, way to not target a group.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they're targeting a group that has been known to be bad for everybody.
It was just
so. At what point freedom of religion versus safety of the citizenry? I don't know. They kind of Venn diagram there a little bit.
Yeah, if you put it in some perspective, it's only been a year since the last Islamic terrorist attack in Belgium. It was less than a year ago that the big Paris attack happened, and that was launched out of Belgium. I believe that with the Charlie Hebdo attack, that was also orchestrated and based out of Belgium. There is definitely an Islamic extremism and terrorism problem in Belgium.
So they need to do what they can, but I don't like the idea of government-controlled mosques. That just sounds
bad.
Yeah, it's like this is a good way to.
It doesn't sound Nazi. It sounds like communist China, where they have their own pope for the Chinese Catholic Church.
It's cute.
Here's the thing. I mean, I hate religion. I really do. In general, I think it's pretty fucking bad. But, stop poking them with the stick.
Yeah.
Stop, are these people over here fucking with you? Are they, committing atrocities? Well, maybe we shouldn't be doing shit in their country covertly. Maybe stop fucking with them with weird shit laws like this, or trying to put control over them like this. I don't know. Maybe afford them the freedoms that the rest of your citizenry have. I don't know.
The role a mayor would have in being able to try to fix something like that, he just completely destroyed, because he could have been visiting these mosques, talking to the imams, trying to work with them, encouraging them to be a part of the community.
Yeah.
Trying to integrate them, because if you can integrate them, they are going to be less extreme. And
well, if you can say hello to somebody, that you get to have a dialogue with them, then you're not a stranger, and you're less likely to fucking go over there and stab them.
Yeah. And if you make people feel like they have a voice in the community, they are less likely to react with violence.
I just think this guy doesn't give a damn about any of that, and this is all about reputation.
Yeah, probably.
And he's just worried that Brussels looks bad.
I just think it's funny that the mayor of Brussels is mayor, so he's a mayor.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So So, oh man, yeah, they need to do something about it, but he needs to be working with these mosques. If they're in the hands of the Salafists, he could work with, if he tried to reach out to these people, he could get the mosques into the hands of moderates, and that doesn't require government control.
I don't know. I think religious extremists are hard to deal with.
Right, and the terrorists
they're not just going to be like, oh yeah, walk into our mosque, infidel, and talk to us on equal exchange. It's not going to.
You don't have to walk into their.
You can't do that with Christians. You can't do that with anybody.
Right, but
have a fucking pancake breakfast at your house or something. And
Belgian waffles, sir.
Fucking A.
Oh my gosh,
you got it.
We just solved all of Belgium's problems.
Seriously, there's tons of ways to reach out to people.
Gonna totally run for the waffle party.
Yeah,
the mayor of waffles.
But one of the big concerns that I have that's going on in Europe, and we haven't been talking about Europe as much as we probably should. We've been a little bit too focused on all of our problems here in the U.S. But we've got the rise of radical right-wing parties. The recent Dutch elections, last week I think it was, the ultra right-wing neo-Nazi party came in second place in the parliamentary elections. That is terrifying. And that's not isolated. Far right-wing nationalist neo-Nazi parties are rising all over Europe, and this is largely in response to high amounts of immigration from Islamic countries and having lots of Muslims in their cities. And conservatives are freaking the fuck out, which is only going to make it worse.
Yeah, they're not interested in waffles. They're interested in getting the Muslims out.
Yeah, and if you panic and if you try to marginalize them, the only way they are going to have a voice is with a gun. And you don't want to put people into that position. Don't back them into a fucking corner. Fuck. Europe, pull it together. But we aren't done with Europe. Germany has decided to deport 2 terror suspects, a 27-year-old with Algerian parents and a 22-year-old with Nigerian parents, after they were both under surveillance due to alleged support for the Islamic State, and they were arrested in connection with a terror plot. Despite the fact that the 2 men were born in Germany, they are both being deported to their parents' home countries in Africa.
I say, what?
Hopefully, they both have dual citizenship. Otherwise, Germany might find itself in trouble for violating the UN conventions on statelessness.
Yeah, that's totally a dick move.
This is completely unprecedented in Germany.
That's terrifying.
Let's really hope that Trump isn't rubbing off on Angela Merkel.
Ew.
What? It's not like they even touched. I mean, he wouldn't even shake her hand,
I know.
But still. Like, ew, girl cooties. You're not giving money to NATO. Whatever, bullshit.
But, yeah, this is their home country that they're getting kicked out of.
I mean, how many generations back are they going to go with this? If this is what they're going to start doing. That's stupid.
They're exiling these people.
Yes.
What's even worse,
they might not have ever been.
They're exiling them to places they may have never been, and where they will find more extremists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nigeria
you did put them into places where, I mean, you're definitely pissing them off more, and putting them into a country where they might not even speak the language.
One could even say that they are radicalizing them further by doing this, or at least risking radicalizing them further.
Right, because who are they going to go to in Nigeria?
Yeah.
So there's maybe some aunts or uncles, but most likely people they've been talking to online, maybe, that are,
Nigeria would be maybe try to get in with Boko Haram.
Yeah.
And Algeria try and get in with the local Al-Qaeda or Islamic State affiliate.
It's a really bad idea, Germany.
This is
really
stupid. If they are found to be guilty of plotting to commit a terrorist attack, they should be in prison, not being sent to go join with terrorists. Fuck.
Yeah, kind of a bad thing.
All right, we are going to take another break, and then when we'll be back, I'll hand it over to Wesley.
Let's shift some gears.
We love hearing from our listeners. You can email us at contact@atheistnomads.com, tweet us @atheistnomads, send us a message on our Facebook page at facebook.com/atheistnomads, or better yet, call us and leave us a message at 541-203-0666. We might even play it on the show. You can also help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcast directory of choice. Man, I really was trying to avoid jumping to conclusions on the London one in particular. I might edit some of that out.
Okay, it's all good.
Yeah. Anyway, Wesley.
So, Rick Wiles, end time guy that loves to be on with Jim Baker a lot of the time. The government's gonna send robots to eat you for lunch. So I'm not even joking, and there is a little bit of a God angle on this. I've been trying to get God stories for you peoples, so deal with it, because apparently we have been doing that a lot lately.
Have we been getting feedback about that?
Well, we've been doing a lot of Trump stuff.
We have.
Or circling around Trump a lot. So,
which is what I like to call circling the drain.
Hey.
So, anyways, Wiles and his buddy Steve Quayle were talking for a couple of hours discussing the existence of giants, the prevalence of cannibalism, and the looming tribulation. With Wiles at one point pointing out that the hatred of Christians will become so great in the last days that people will be encouraged to kill and eat them.
Where did this cannibalism thing come from?
Wow.
Just pulled that one out of thin air?
Right out of his ass, just like the rest of them. So, to kind of get around this whole cannibalism thing, Wiles got kind of weird and cited a 2009 Wired article, I guess, that reported that a company was working to develop little robots that could actually refuel themselves by ingesting biomass from the environment, which the company itself stated that it would actually be plant matter. Mm-hmm. But no, the robots are just going to go like full zombie and just fucking eat brains.
He has his own jump to
people.
Conclusions, Matt.
Wow.
That he left.
Okay. It sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Those Amazon drones don't sound so good now.
No, if you want the conspiracy, Google's new parent company, Alphabet, when they reorganized Google under a parent company that they created called Alphabet, it also owns Boston Dynamics. Boston Dynamics is working with DARPA to make really cool military robots. Their end goal, of course, to be killer robots. This is owned by the same company that owns Google, with the most powerful computers that know everything about everyone, and is the best candidate for Skynet.
Skynet is Google.
So they're trying to sell Boston Dynamics because they're afraid it doesn't fit with their cultural values.
The whole killing part?
Their culture, it doesn't fit with the company's culture. And no, they're ready to sell it because people are figuring out their Skynet.
Yeah.
But there's still just a little bit more to add to this, even.
Yeah.
This guy missed that completely.
Still, there's a little bit more. Rick Wiles, he goes on to say, our military is developing an army of human flesh-eating robots. If you do not conform to the requirements of this new society, they're going to send a robot to your house to eat you for lunch. This may sound extremely radical, but that's where they're taking it. They will reduce the human population. You will conform.
Oh, wow.
This would make such a good sci-fi. Oh, my God. Can we make this into a show?
I really think he might just be watching really shitty B movies.
I think so.
Yeah. Just, Rick, stop watching MST3K. I call it good.
What's the one where the guy puts on the sunglasses and sees the subliminal messages?
Oh, I don't know.
I think that's They Live.
Oh, man, I don't know.
Great show, though, when he puts on the sunglasses and he can see, like, there are people out there who are actually aliens in disguise, and he sees a billboard for a vacation in paradise, and he puts on the sunglasses and it says procreate.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. It's like he's got those crazy glasses and he thinks he's seeing all this stuff, but it's not. It's not real.
Oh, wow.
It's a good movie. We should do that for Sci-Fi Nomads.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps.
He doesn't sound very enthusiastic. Okay. It has a great fight scene. Goes on for like 20 minutes.
Okay. Huh. All right. So I added it during editing last week about the faith healing bill that Idaho finally got.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to start with a quote. I'm not sure it really changes a whole lot, other than it moves a bunch of words and sentences around. It does remove the defense statement, but it qualifies it on the next page. That's what Idaho State Senator Dan Johnson, Republican from Lewiston, had to say about his faith healing bill, before going on to add that it would clarify some of the wording in the religious exemption for child abuse and neglect, and an affirmative statement. It would add a citation to Idaho's Religious Freedom Restoration Act, because religious beliefs influencing parenting decisions is a fundamental right. And it would also have removed part of the existing law that requires people to be members of a, quote, bona fide religious denomination that relies exclusively on this kind of medical care. So, in other words, it would have virtually done nothing except made it so that you don't actually have to be part of a cult to get away with murdering your children. Meaning, more people could kill their children.
Yeah, but that bona fide religious denomination, I mean, who says that who makes that decision that it's bona fide?
The judge that's paid off, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Got killed in the Senate.
Well, so we're getting there. So in response, it did get killed. In response,
spoilers. God.
The Canyon County Sheriff spoke to the State Affairs Committee opposing the bill. He said, "The situation we are under when these people are exempt, the small minority of people are exempt from the law, goes in direct conflict to the rule of law. We are a nation of laws, and yet we have a small minority of people who are exempt from law enforcement investigating. In my county alone, I've had 3 deaths in the last 4 months, 1 yesterday, that I can't speak of because of an open investigation. My hands are tied as a law enforcement officer." The bill failed with an 11-24 vote before the full Senate.
Because I largely suspect it failed because it did nothing.
Yeah.
That people they just like, you know what, even it's not worth voting for, even if you believe that it would do some good. They know that it won't do anything, so why vote yes?
The only reason why anybody would have voted for this was adding a little bit of extra protection for religious freedom, but more likely just to be able to say, oh yeah, we addressed it. We addressed the faith healing issue. No, this was not addressing it. This was not a bill that would actually fix the problem.
This is, except for if you look at the polls, the surveys of the Idaho general population, they are overwhelmingly against these guys being exempt.
Yeah.
But you give it to senators and they're like, we've had people look it over. It seems legit.
And
like, well, what about what?
There's 2 things that will rile up people in Idaho more than anything else, and that is religious freedom and parental rights. And you tie those 2 things together, and just enough very loud people are going to go apeshit on them. They're scared.
They should be scared. They're going to get run out of the state.
It doesn't take many people or many phone calls or letters to to really change somebody's mind sometime.
This faith healing thing has been going on for a long time, though. I mean, they've had people doing... I mean, they had a freaking PBS documentary about it, and it didn't sway anybody. Well, didn't sway anybody who made the laws. There's definitely a feeling of banging your head against a wall.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why don't you just listen?
And we're going to have to keep banging our heads against the wall until they allow people to be prosecuted when they sacrifice their children to their god.
I say every time a kid dies, we go down there and, like, I don't know, set something on fire.
Lauren, what is with you and arson lately?
Burns to the ground. Kick them out of the state. They only came over here because Oregon kicked them out.
Most of the group that's here now has been here since like 1910.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Burn it to the ground.
Oh, wow. In hopes of getting Equality Utah and the National Center for Lesbian Rights to drop their lawsuit, Utah Governor Gary Herbert signed a bill that repeals a law that prohibited Utah teachers from the promotion of homosexuality. It was actually bad enough that teachers were even afraid to talk about same-sex marriage, something that I'm sure was difficult to avoid when it was legalized. And the replacement law still requires that the school curriculum does not advocate premarital or extramarital sex.
Right, of course.
So now they're free to admit that gay people exist, essentially.
Yep.
Because that would be seen as promotion.
They can now admit gay people exist.
Fuck.
They can now presumably talk about HIV risk, as long as in the context of a same-sex marriage.
Nope. In the public school I grew up with, which was here in Boise, any mention of any kind of like HIV was shut down.
And it's so...
Whether it was with straight, hetero, or homo, it didn't matter.
It's so
that
needed.
It was too, what do you call it when it's too detailed?
Risque?
No, it was...
dirty.
Yeah, the detail that they used was too much for the children.
Oh,
so
boy.
They shut it down. It's like, really?
Yeah, risque.
We kind of need this.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Especially when you look at the massive HIV outbreak in eastern Idaho.
Oh. I made myself feel bad.
It was... and the exact situation there was a bunch of married Mormon gay men going to rest areas for anonymous, unprotected gay sex.
Yeah.
Well, if they just knew that condoms, help prevent the spread of... But no.
Yeah.
Why have safe sex education?
Yeah. Why have safe sex if you can't get pregnant?
I mean, why don't they at least teach girls that, they can have butt sex and save their virginity? Oh, wait, they kind of already do.
That's what they learned from all their slutty friends in junior high.
Yeah.
Or from their older
still
siblings.
A virgin. They just stick it in my butt.
And moving from good to not good. Okay, straight up bad. Kentucky's SB 17, which has been signed into law by Governor Matt Bevin. This bill supposedly protects religious expression at public schools.
Oh, that sounds just ripe.
What it actually does is prohibit schools from regulating student organizations, including member selection and, quote, doctrines and principles. This will override the all-comer policies that many of those schools have had to ensure that student organizations that receive financial or other support from the school don't discriminate against students based on race, sex, religion, sexual orientation, or gender identity. So now a whole new wave of discrimination against LGBT students, religious minorities, atheists, and maybe even racial minorities is about to hit Kentucky schools.
I'm waiting for the first white kid club.
Sons of the Confederacy.
They already have those. They already have those.
They call themselves the porcelain dolls.
Oh, man.
DOLLZ. Yeah. Great. That'll be awesome. Yay.
Anybody out in Kentucky? Let us know how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some family somewhere up in the hills of Kentucky somewhere.
In the hills? Like the backwoodsy hills?
Yeah, there's
that's pretty much.
There's two things that doing this podcast, at least in the last couple of years, has really spoiled me on. And we already talked about Muslims, where the default assumption is that they're the victims. The other is religious freedom now seems like a bad excuse, or no, just straight up an excuse for hate. And that's not what it should be. Religious people, stop making me want to take away your freedom.
Can't have nice
Muslims
things.
do make a great scapegoat.
And they keep pushing for religious freedom to the point where they will lose it when it's not even being threatened. But they'll make sure it is. Well, fuck
that's
them.
That whole Christian persecution complex. Come on, that's a totally real thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's baked into their religion.
Fuck.
Like chocolate chips and cookies.
All right, Wesley, you've got the last one.
Yeah. So, here's these happy words. Rape and incest are the will of God.
We've heard that before.
Yeah. So this is, actually a yesterday story from the Oklahoma House. Yeah. They were discussing House Bill HB 1549, which would prohibit anyone from seeking an abortion in the case of genetic abnormality.
Really?
Which would also put severe fines on a doctor of $100,000 for doing said abortions.
God damn it.
Yeah. So, you got a state rep, Corey Williams. Guess what letter is next to his name? Asking, it's a D. I'll just put that on there. Asking Representative George Fott, who authored the bill, if rape is the will of God. George said, well, if you read the Bible, there are a couple circumstances where that happened, and the Lord uses all circumstances. Yeah, Corey came back, is incest the will of God? Fott said, same answer. Yeah.
What pisses me off more than his answers is the fact that the guy had to ask those questions in the first place.
No, I mean, good on Corey Williams for bringing it up, because this bill is almost certainly completely motivated by religion.
Right, which means that it doesn't belong in the House and that they shouldn't even be discussing that kind of shit.
Of course, but at least Corey is bringing it up and exposing that for everybody.
That's true. It's true. I'm saying it's sad that he has to do that.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
Wait, this is in Oklahoma?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get tornadoes and earthquakes and shit. I don't trust anything that they believe.
Well, they get lots of signs from God.
Tons of signs of God saying that what they're doing is wrong.
But we
or very, very right.
We either already talked about this bill when it was first introduced or one very similar in another state. But holy shit. I don't know what's worse, the bill or Fott's answers.
Well, there's a couple more sentences I want to put out there. Corey Williams, the Democrat in this, said, this body wants to know, and myself personally, whether you believe rape and incest are actually the will of God. Fott came back and said, it's a great question to ask. And obviously, if it happens in someone's life, it may not be the best thing that ever happened. But, so you're saying that God is not sovereign in every activity that happens in someone's life and can't use anything and everything in someone's life, and I disagree with that. So Fott is basically saying, yeah, everything in your life, God made it happen, and it's supposed to be that way. Deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's...
You son of a bitch.
Wow.
And that's a that's a super minority view, too. Most people don't think that way. And yet, this guy is helping make laws because a small minority is super loud and has a lot of money.
So this is in the House. You know, there's a lot more members in the House of Representatives in Oklahoma, like every other state, really. The bill passed with 67 votes, and more than a dozen didn't vote at all. But, now goes to the Senate. Yay!
Wow.
So in that case, abstaining would have actually hurt.
Wouldn't have made a difference if they voted against it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The bill passed by 67, and only a dozen didn't vote.
Yeah, it's true.
And this is... What's interesting to see is that the pro-life viewpoint that is most consistent but least reasonable, that the viewpoint of abortion is bad regardless, even in cases of rape and incest, is actually starting to become mainstream.
Yeah. Well, burn it to the ground. I don't know.
I actually think that's a good thing, because when it's, we need to ban abortion, but except in cases of rape or incest, or if the mother's health is in jeopardy, it's trying to make stupid and ridiculous reasonable. It's still stupid and ridiculous. By giving some
concessions, you can get the majority of it passed.
You give concessions to make it less likely for Democrats to vote against it. Or to at least make it less likely to get as much of a opposition to it. And I'm glad they're not making those concessions anymore.
Right, because it's so much easier to just say, you're not making any exceptions for anybody, and that's wrong, so I'm not going to vote for it.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and take our last break.
As a listener of the show, I'm going to assume you love my sexy vocal stylings. If you love the rest of the show as much as my voice, consider giving us the resources we desperately need to purchase quality cocaine and Red Bull. We make it super easy to make a one-time donation or to support us on a per-episode, monthly, or even annual basis using PayPal or Patreon. Find out more at atheistnomads.com. Use the links on the right side of the page. $1 an episode is all we ask.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to feedback. First up, we've got Brother Brewer from Skeptic Brew Pub.
Yay!
Thank you for sharing your story today. I grew up in a Pentecostal church and totally relate to hearing God's voice delusion. It's interesting how much the two denominations seem to have in common. And yeah, when you look at Pentecostalism, the whole charismatic thing, there is a strain of that in all of Christianity. And it's become a lot more mainstream in recent years, which has kind of blurred the line between Pentecostal and evangelical recently. But there's also a strain of it, very strong one in the Mormon church. But yeah, you'll see it in Adventism, you'll see it in a lot of churches. By the time you get over to Catholic, they just call it mysticism. And even that's having a resurgence. So yeah, there's definitely always similarities, but yeah, Pentecostal and Adventist, there are interesting similarities there. And Lori Dawn via YouTube regarding a nearly 1-year-old episode 143 with Lila Starr.
Good for her.
Lily, my dear, you are ridiculous. You don't believe in a higher power. You are believing in a higher power. What a hypocrite.
Yeah. And a question to the gnomes, which I think she means nomads. Why are you wasting so much time on something you don't believe in? I don't waste my time trying to prove that the Easter Bunny doesn't exist. Leave the damn religious people alone. They're not hurting you. Go find something productive.
They're not hurting us.
Well, Lori Dawn, my dear, fuck you. We are doing something productive.
Yeah. So I want to start off with the Satanist element. Lilith Star doesn't believe in a higher power. She views Satan as kind of a literary type character.
A mascot, you might say.
That's not the same as believing in a higher power. So, yeah, that's not a hypocrite. She is consistent in her views.
Like, yeah, I can admire Aristotle for his teachings, but that doesn't mean that I believe Aristotle is a higher power.
Mm-hmm.
That she has a really cool name, so lay off.
And on the Easter Bunny part, if adults actually believed in the Easter Bunny and they tried to legislate based on the Easter Bunny, and if they allowed their children to die to make the Easter Bunny happy, and they took advantage of people in the name of the Easter Bunny, we would be talking about the Easter Bunny.
Yeah.
Sean Spicer was the Easter Bunny for the White House during Bush's time. Just going to put that out there.
But there are religions that we don't talk about much because they don't have any power. Nobody tries to legislate in their name. They don't hurt anyone. We don't talk about Jains.
Yeah. I was just going to... Oh, damn it, you took it. You know who we don't fucking talk about? You know who's not, out there hurting children? The fucking Jains.
We don't talk about Sikhs unless they're victims of religious bigots. We don't talk about Baha'is.
Or somebody gives them shit about their knives. Ceremonial daggers.
And just because they're not physically hurting people, even though they are, we're talking about like social, economic, and emotional damage, real hurtful damage that's happening to a lot of people. That's why we do this.
Yeah.
Fucking kid damage.
So
kids
don't really
dying because of religion.
Don't really need
we
to
talk shit about that.
Support our, give you the reasons why we're doing this, because we understand our reasons. If you don't, that's okay.
And we hear from listeners every so often about what impact our show has for them. And it's amazing how powerful knowing that you aren't alone is.
Yes. And
knowing that there are people who think like you do.
And actually, Lori Dawn, I'll tell you what, we do it for the fat checks. Yeah, because we get so much fucking money rolling in.
I thought you said fat chicks, and I was going to say, I preferred mine, curvy, but not. Yes.
Hey, I don't discriminate. But, we do this for the mad cash. Oh, wait, sorry. We can, afford a couple coffees a month. But,
and speaking of mad cash, if you want to help give us mad cash, we always love to get new patrons. And we love our existing patrons as well.
I love you.
But give us money, patreon.com/atheistnomads or atheistnomads.com. And on the right-hand side of the page, there's the links.
And also give us positive reviews.
And don't forget that.
And
spread the word.
Yeah, and share us with your friends. And tell us that you love us. And then we'll love you, too. And it's awesome. And makes us feel validated.
And I don't care where you live. Unless you live in Seattle, I don't really want them. But if you live anywhere else, send pictures because I love pictures.
All right, that's it for this week. Just remember, not all those who wander are lost. Thank you for listening to another episode of Atheist Nomads. You can find show notes and contact information at atheistnomads.com. Follow us on Twitter at Atheist Nomads, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Atheist Nomads. Please subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcatcher of choice, and while you're there, feel free to leave us a review. Theme music is courtesy of Sturdy Fred. Until next time, this has been the Atheist Nomads.